All right, I'll try and make this quick. I want to review the solving for a variable we did today. Could be kind of complicated, or it comes really easy. It's one of those kind of things that is hit and miss. We're solving for a variable. We look for the operations on what variable are we going to change, then find the inverse operations. We started with the classic variables of all time, the distance formula. Distance equals the rate times the time. But what if you wanted to know how, instead of this tells you how far you're going to go, but what if we wanted to know what is the equation for how long will it take us? Like we talked about earlier, Dad, Mom, when are we going to be there? We want to get the t by itself. To get the t by itself, we would just divide both sides by r. Divide by r and divide by r, and that gives us t would equal distance over rate. All right, we talked about that today. So here are the examples. We're going to skip that. We're going to go right to when we do solve for variables, we have had a hard time. I'm assuming we're going to have a difficult time simplifying fractions. Okay, 5 times x over 3 is the same as 5/3 x. This is simplifying this fraction. They're the same thing. And here's the one that can be tricky. 4 plus x divided by 2 is the same as 2 plus 1/2 x. Why is that? When you look at adding fractions, if you remember adding fractions, I can break this apart. 4 plus x divided by 2 is the same as 4 over 2 plus x over 2. So when we simplify this, 4 over 2 becomes the 2, and x over 2 can also be rewritten as 1/2 times x. So we want to turn these into that. If we're solving for a variable and you left it like this, it's not going to be wrong. Mathematically, it's fine, but it's much more difficult to work with. Believe it or not, this is easier to work with than that. That's why we want to simplify them. So back to the examples that we had. The main reason we're going to do this, we are always going to be solving for y. That's our main focus this year. I want to focus on solving variables for y. So here's our example we did earlier. We want that y by itself. So our first step was to subtract 5x for both sides. Now the book examples does it horizontally. I like to do them vertically. Either way is fine. When you subtract both sides, 5x for both sides, you then have 2y equals x, or 6 minus 5x. This is gone because we moved it. Basically, when I go back to here, basically what we're doing, it's kind of a shortcut in my head. I want to move this 5x over here. You can't just move it. You have to do it mathematically, but every time you do it mathematically, you basically, when you move it to the other side of the equal sign, the sign just changes. Instead of plus 5x, it's minus 5x. That's what happens there. Our next step then, y is almost by itself. We have to divide everything by 2. Okay, we can do that. Just divide everything by 2. And I end up with this right here. This becomes 2y. This becomes y. And here's this fraction that needs to be simplified again. And it becomes, we get y by itself. And look at it. 3 divided by 2 is, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 5x over 2 is 5/2 x. So that's your steps for that one there. I think we did one more. Here's 3 more for you. I'll show you the answers. This first one has all the steps for you. We add x to both sides. Again, we'll get the y by itself. Add the x's. Divide by 5. And we get this. Again, the hard part for many of us is going to be, how do you get from here, 10 plus x divided by 5, to this one? 10 divided by 5 is 2. X over 5 is the same as 1/5 x. So look at these and maybe it'll help you. I give on number 2. I told you what the steps are, but what did we do? So ask yourself, how did I get from here to here? I did an operation. I either added, subtracted, divided, or multiplied something to both sides of the equal sign. What operation did I use to get from here to there? To get from here to there, the final answer, what operation did I use? Okay, and over here, I did it the other way. I told you the operations. First of all, we subtracted 6x from both sides. Then we divided everything by 3. If we did that, what are the results of those operations as we went through here? So go through that, take your time. Sometimes people think solving for a variable is complicated, but actually, the more you get involved with it, it's easier because you're just dealing more with letters and not as much chance for error with arithmetic, but there is still some. So I hope that helps you. Talk to you tomorrow or the next day, whenever you see this.